In this video, I break down exactly how my client Olivia went from thinking she had to cancel her marathon to hitting a 3:31 in 8 weeks. Enjoy.
Hey Olivia, how's it going?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. So thanks for coming on. Today, just kind of want to show everyone your experience working together and really what we've been doing these past 3 to 4 months. Obviously, I know you were dealing with multiple issues. We had worked together in the past, but want to share what your most recent experience has been, specifically with your marathon and kind of moving forward. So why don't we go ahead and just kind of tell everyone what you were dealing with about 3 to 4 months ago?
Yeah. So 3 to 4 months ago, at that time, we just started working together again for the second year in a row. Coming off an Ironman, my next race was a half marathon, which we prepped for, we crushed, squeezed out a PR, but then soon after, I had a really bad knee injury flare up, which was pretty much residual of an ankle injury. We also worked through the year prior. Um, The only thing is, I had already raised all this money for a marathon. So we were in kind of a tight spot. I think we had like a month and a half, 2-ish months to go before race day. And stairs hurt, getting up from the chair hurt, basic day-to-day functions hurt. Um, and I remember texting you very frequently, like, I think we should pull the plug here. But we really kind of threw everything we could at the wall, and what stuck really stuck because we went from not being able to walk to I'm not going to go to the start line to crossing the start line with a PR. So that's where we're at now, and the knee injury has stayed at bay. The pain has not come back, and we're just continuing to get stronger.
I mean, obviously you had really good results. And today we'll kind of dive into like a little bit more specifics and what we did and what really helped you out. Um, Tell us a little bit more about like the specific ankle injury that you were dealing with in the past and kind of how it trickled in to reignite what was going on with the knee.
Yeah. So you can only do strength and conditioning can only prevent so much. Flukes will always happen, and that is what happened with me. I was just doing a simple lateral bound, and my ankle folded inward. Loud snap, X-ray, revealed an avulsion fracture. That was probably one of the most serious injuries I had, and I mean the pictures. I'll send you one so you can put it up there. The pictures speak for themselves. It was purple. Couldn't walk on it. Crutches were recommended, but I just went for a soft brace instead, and we were non-weight bearing, or pretty much non-weight bearing as much as I could, for 2 months, um, before the Ironman, and then we had some exercises, specifically ankle mobilization and calf strengthening and ankle strengthening, really just the foundations we needed to prioritize coming off of that injury, um, to get me to the race of the Ironman. Once we crossed the finish line there, um, I continued running. Ankle was holding up, but that's when the knee consequence kicked in. We figured out it was still just because the pain stayed away, the strength was still significantly not where it should have been. Um, so we really focused on one, mobilizing the ankle because I wouldn't even say we slacked off the mobility. It was just that we decreased the intensity because it was no longer broken, but it was still deep, like deep in there. It was still felt like it was fused together. It was very stiff. It couldn't do what the joint needed to do, and therefore my knee kind of had to take over and compensate for it. So I had a overstrained quad, knee pain, inflamed all the tendons and burses in there. So what we did was mobilize strength in the ankle. Um, One, to get rid of the initial onset of the inflammation in the knee. And then once we got that down, then we were able to work on the quad strength, the hip stuff, the glute stuff that still needed to be picked back up after an injury like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting for you because obviously you've had the ankle fracture. You had history of knee pain in the past, but really they kind of went hand in hand, and we saw that. on our first assessment working back together, we took you through like that single leg squat on that one side. And we really saw because the ankle wasn't moving, the knee had to move.
Right.
So go ahead and show us a little bit about that single leg squat, what we saw, and then that specific ankle mobilization movement that we did to fix it.
So what we saw with the single leg squat was because my ankle was so stiff and rigid, I actually lost that ability to pronate or like tilt my foot inwards. Um, and my gait, that's naturally supposed to happen. So when it wasn't, when we did the single leg squat, we saw that my ankle would stay pretty straight up, but my knee would compensate, take over, actually dip in here while my ankle stayed put. So it's basically kind of like having this gnarly internal rotation on every step of every run. Not supposed to happen. So to get that pronation back and the ankle mobility, we did a ton of knee over toe, kind of lunging into it as if I'm about to take off running after that. That really helped kind of exploit the issue because when my ankle was in rough shape, I would get in this position and then the knee would take over, quad would take over, and I would push all my way through that compromised position with my knee inverted like that. So doing that knee over toe really helped me get that. So we did a standing version. We also did this kneeling version. We did the one with the band. We put a band around my ankle to create space in the joint. I still do that every day to keep that joint nice and stable because even though the injury's healed internally, there's still probably a lot of junk going on. So it's really important to maintain consistency there. By doing this, my pronation was able to naturally come back. We did a little work in the arch of the foot to help encourage that process, but really unlocking that dorsiflexion was the key to getting the pronation back and also the key to getting my knee back in its natural gait rather than that nasty inversion.
And that was like the first step, really unlocking the mobility. Because if we would have gone on and attacked the quad, got it stronger, your knee probably would have been better for a little bit, but it just would have come back the more you started running. So kind of finding what we call like the root cause was like the fundamental step. So from there, we went into more of like strengthening. So show us a little bit about the specific strength that we did for the quads as well as the calf.
I think we started with the calf because that's what needed priority first. And just touching on upon what you said, I think it's important to have your perspective as a physical therapist, finding that root cause really clarifies, takes out a lot of the guesswork in the process. Because yeah, my knee can hurt, and we can go for the most obvious answer, which is probably like, okay, what's the quad doing? But the ankle and the foot is the first thing that hits the ground. So when we fixed that, I think that was really key to getting the process going. But to strengthen the ankle and the calf, tons of calf raises in a bunch of variations. So we did a lot of up two, down on one, nice and controlled, eccentric, up two, down one, slow on the down part. We did a lot of lunge position, calf raises, getting up on the toes here, more of a position similar to running. Then we finally progressed to single leg calf raises. Sometimes I do these on a small step with a weight to really get that calf going. Again, that was paired with all the ankle mobility. When the knee pain finally subsided to where I could get a good amount of flexion going, that's when we worked on the quad and glute strength. I think our go-to was a hydrant. So we go into more running position, leg below the hip, then we extend out, really getting that lateral strength back because for months I really didn't use this leg at all. So all those muscles, whole right leg was really just off calibrated. So we did that for some lateral strength. Then we also did a ton of bridge work for the hamstrings and the glutes. Started with just normal, both feet, strong up, squeeze at the top, down two. Then I think we progressed to single leg hip bridge, which I still do in my strength routine. Then we also did some stuff with sliders. So sliders would go under my heels, slide them out, bring the hamstrings back in. That was a bad demo. And we put a foam roller under there to add in a little instability. So I really had to engage my whole glute and hamstrings.
There was basically a flow. We had to unlock the ankle, strengthen that ankle, and then go into more like the proximal hip knee stability, which really just solidified everything. Um, Obviously, we had a good process throughout the way, but kind of tell us a little bit more about 2 months out, 1 month out, what your thought process was going into the marathon.
It's increasingly doubtful. No confidence whatsoever, because it's hard to have confidence if you don't have the miles and the splits that you want going into the race. So really nerve-wracking, but day by day, the pain I wouldn't say substantially decreased, but a little bit each day. And I'm talking like an amount I couldn't even notice until one day I was like, hey, I can actually get some knee flexion. Hey, I can actually get my ankle is it feels a little loose today. Now my knee feels a little bit more less inflamed. And then that's when we were like, okay, now we can maybe start doing some quad stuff, get the whole leg back on track. Um, so I was really doubtful, but with the proper exercises, each time I did them, it felt like a productive step forward. And I wanted to pull out of the race, but I couldn't because I was feeling the effectiveness of that every day.
For you, there wasn't like an immediate relief. There
Right.
was nothing like that. And sometimes there's not, because in your case, you had almost like a chronic ankle issue that really caused it to be really stiff. And it was going to take time to loosen up and really fortify the other areas. And it's hard to have the confidence when the clock is constantly ticking and the race is getting closer and closer. Um, Tell me even like the week or the couple weeks leading up to the marathon.
Remember, that's when we started being able to be more functional. I could go up and down the stairs without pain. And so as soon as we did that, we were like, let's try and run some miles. I think 2 weeks out, my weekly mileage was like less than 10 miles, which I do have a strong running background, but it doesn't matter how long you've been running. That is a sketchy place to be in 2 weeks out from a marathon. Um, we really did build appropriately, though. It was an aggressive. It was an aggressive build, but it was reasonable. Given my history and background, I think we did 2 runs a week. One was just to kind of get the running legs back. One was a long run, and each week, no, we did 2 long runs for 2 weeks. So we got 4 long runs in before race day. And I think we would add 30 minutes each time. So we really started at 30 minutes and then an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. And then I think we capped at 2.5 hours. That was 18 miles. And that during that run, I was like, we got this. It might not be the fastest. I might not PR, but I think I can be on my feet for another hour without having detrimental consequences. I felt strong enough to actually be able to finish the race when 2 weeks prior I was ready to pull out.
And I think that was the key, making sure that you had just enough to feel confident that you could do it, but not too much to where you were just gassed out by trying to catch up. And then tell us the results.
We had a big PR. That was a 10-minute PR. That was my fifth marathon, and we just snuck in at 3:31:59, which like I said, 10-minute PR from the first marathon I ever ran was my fastest. It was 3:42, so I was shocked. And it makes me really exciting going forward because I'm like, wow, we came from out of the rubble to get that time. Imagine what we can do with a healthy prep with some speed and not just kind of a recovery rally. Yeah, so it makes me really excited for the next one, and it also puts a lot of hope in just the treatment process. Just because you have chronic knee pain doesn't mean you're down and out for the count. There's a way. There's always an entry point, and we found ours pretty quickly, and from there it was just up the chain: ankle, knee, quad. Now we're good. I don't have any pain from my day to day anymore. and I have a marathon PR. So
It's been super fun working with you as always. And I'm just glad that you have the confidence in your body, in your knee, in your ankle. Anything else you want to share about your experience, prep and working together?
it takes a village. I couldn't do this without you. I think a coach is vital in this process. I think if I was solo, I would have given up very early on in that process. But you kind of had the confidence in me when I didn't, and you're kind of my what's it called? Voice of reason when it came to the doubts. And with that, just the collaboration process, me telling you what feels good, what doesn't. We really ruled out the exercises that were going to be most effective and the process that was going to be most effective. So it was a very much a collaborative effort, and takes a village. So let's here's to more PRs, healthy knees.
And there you have it. Everyone's running journey is unique and they have their own story, but this is the exact framework that I've taken over 500 runners and gotten them back to pain-free training. If you feel like you need something specific for your knee, comment specific below and I'll send you my free training so you can get back to it. See you in the next video.